Today I'm going to give you a briefing on my thoughts and ideas for the marketing strategy for 2017 and 18, and in particular with reference to the upcoming DEMA show. The overarching question I as always ask myself is how we can make more money, provided that we can do it without increasing our workloads or spending more money. The answer and the techniques I will go over in this briefing is by eliminating waste and fine-tuning our workflows, and by optimizing our sales pitches, by preempting and blocking frequently encountered objections. First off, I would like to talk about plugging the funnel. This is about reducing the self-inflicted wounds in our system and handling of cases. In this illustration, I have made a funnel that represents our branding efforts, marketing and sales, because marketing and sales are usually tied together, but we're going to dissect that and take it apart. I'm not going to talk so much about branding right now, but let's jump right to leads in marketing. Up here in this cloud, that's our pool or cloud of potential customers that we can potentially reach. So going back over our procedures, it has become evident to me that at each stage of our handling of leads, there are a lot of leaks that we can easily or fairly easily with a minimum effort plug. Among the leaks in marketing, there's, for example, insufficient and incomplete research and or not updated list in our our CRM system, the super office. That means, for example, when we do content marketing, that we don't have an updated mailing list. It also means that when we do content marketing at all, it is often not conducted properly or not at all. In other words, we do publish a lot of issues, a lot of nice articles, where we lose the opportunity to sell ads and rein in some number of clients. On the next level, we also have a number of leaks in the sales process. For example, we're not always catching leads passed on down to sales from marketing. It can be lack of follow-ups from expos. We go to the expos and we bring home a lot of business cards, and how do we process them? Not always efficiently. There's a lack of follow-up overall. There's a lack of timely follow-up. There's also mistakes, like going into sales mode too soon with clients, appearing pushy. Our follow-ups may not address the concerns of the customer. We forgot to listen. And in the sales process itself, there is issues like not preempting and blocking objections beforehand. And the latter point I'm going to talk a great deal more about in this presentation. With this in mind, keep that in the back of your mind. Would you like to earn a bigger commission? Fine-tuning our sales techniques and pitches. This is all about improving better for the same amount of investment in time, effort, and so on, or the ROI. So I have grabbed on to a sales guru that has a very neat presentation on some techniques. His name is Victor Antonio. I found him on YouTube after much Googling and head scratching. You may now ask, why him? There's got lots of good inspirational presenters out there, because I found that his approach appears to be a quite snug fit for our specific needs and explains quite accurately the cases where we have been successful in the past and explain cases as to why we have unnecessarily, in my opinion, lost leads. He starts off his presentation by emphasizing that salespersons put too much emphasis on chasing the sales. If you improve the objections, the sales will close itself. So in this whole presentation, he goes on about how do you block the customer's objection to sales. It can be they have preconceived notions about what you do, your price is too high, and we're going to go over a lot of those reasons afterwards. But he demonstrates that if you preempt, you foresee the objections that the client may have and have the answers ready, and actually work that into your presentation or sales pitch beforehand, you own it, and you address the concerns the client may or may not have expressed to you, but surely have in the back of his or her mind, and turn that into a sleek presentation. I'm not going to go into all the stages of his technique at this juncture, but I'm going to refer you to some of his keynote speeches and nice presentations on YouTube, which you can then watch for yourself in the comfort of your sofa. I did that. I got out some nice tea, some popcorn, and just listening. And I'm listening a couple of times to let it all really sink in. There's a different presentations where he kind of repeated. I found that quite useful too, because you get this reiteration that really makes the key point sink in. Moving forward in more detail, and this will make a lot more sense to you when you have, i.e., watched the set videos. It is all about, when we deal with clients, to preempt and block their objections. As I note up here in the corner, by raising the objection ourselves, we own the conversation. Because if they bring it up, we get on the defensive, and then we don't own the conversation anymore. If we own the conversation and address it, we roll the show. And if we address all the issues, we come across as more transparent and honest. That's a way of building rapport. Most importantly, underlining all this, don't wait for the customer to bring up any objection. So the task and exercise is, and I'd like you all to help me with this. This needs to be a team effort. Task exercise. Number 1, sift through all correspondence and communication to find the most common objections and stalls. Then later we can brainstorm on scenarios and responses. I've listed a few of those here, and I'm sure that you will recognize a lot of them. My objection is like, we're really not doing any advertising anymore. Your rates are too high. We can do it in-house. I got a couple of IT whiz kids who knows everything about SEO. We're going to focus our spending on Google Ads and Facebook. We're doing our blog. Let me think about it. Our budget is already spent. You're international, and so forth. So for all these cases, we're going to figure out our response block, as you call it, our offer to resolve, demonstrate, and tear down. As an example, he states, this is from his book, which you can, by the way, download for free. Objection number 1, your price is too high as compared to the competitors. So the client may say, verbalize, or think. Many of my clients will tell me that your prices, in our case, X-Ray magazines, are higher than your competitors' prices. So what we have to do is to show the customer then when you compare what we have to offer on a point-to-point basis with that of other products, you'll agree that we are more than reasonable when it comes to pricing. How does that sound? So we demonstrate, we show a side-by-side comparison of our products, features and benefits alongside what a typical competitor will offer. So we tie it all up and say, Mr. Client, based on what I've shown you now, you can now see that we are not only cheaper, but in the long run, you can probably also see how we can help you save more money. So that is the purpose of this whole exercise. Think about the reasons that will make them buy and reasons why they won't. Sorry about that. Next one. Part of that process is communicating our values and virtues and having some standards and procedures in place. Central to this process is how to sell on value, not price, because as every other sales guru out there will tell you over and over again, if you Google them, read their books, it's not about the price, it's about perceived values. So here on the left side, I have listed sort of typical segments that we have. We have the operators, it may be dive shops, it may be resorts. There's also tourism, the travel agents, manufacturers. We can come up with a few more. So along this upper axis, I have stated the uninitiated. That means people who have not known us before. Those we have to introduce ourselves for the first time. We have those who know of us but are not all that acquainted. There's the folks out there that's well acquainted with us. We have met them at show, talked with them before to some degree. And then there are the regulars, which we don't have to convince. In each of these cases, we have to consider the objections to preempt and block, visuals that clearly communicate at a glance what our values are all about. We need to have some form letters that we can pull out and reuse over and over again. And finally, also some email templates that's easy to shoot out as a part of an ongoing sales process. So this is also kind of a big work in progress that I also would like everyone to participate in to just get right. Because if we have this nailed down and we can keep fine-tuning it over time, it will be so easy just to reel off sales process after sales process. So the challenge and task at hand is to think about how do we create and convey A, the desired first-hand impression, and B, clear and concise message about our deliverables. We need new visuals. We need to reword and redesign our media info. And on a side note, I bought a new, very sleek sales theme for a website that has a web shop, and I'm going to go into that a little bit later. It's going to be very neat. Also important when we do our segmentation is to define our verticals and selecting our segments, because we can't do them all, and this is going to be relevant when we're going to discuss how we're going to go about DEMA, for example. Breaking down the whole world, if you look at this scheme down here, we can again break them down in operators, tourism manufacturers, video and photo manufacturers, travel agencies, so forth. We can have them subdivided into regions, which may fit into some of your sales territorial anyway. To name a few examples like Indonesia, Red Sea, Bahamas, Spain, I have here assessed the value of the possible take-home. These are entirely hypothetical numbers, and we need to do a little bit crunching ourselves. So how do we size the revenue streams? We estimate or look up the number of opportunities. That may simply be the number of contacts we have in our CRM system. That could be number of resorts in the Philippines. It could be number of manufacturers in California. We assess the win rate. What is the chances of we can eventually land a sale within a group, provided that we execute a very neat procedure. Times, of course, the average sale. That gives the total revenue in the segment. The main point of this exercise is you get a matrix here of value of revenue we can make. And when we pick in the big mix, obviously what we would like to do is look for those most prospective leads. the low-hanging fruit, so to speak. This is a very simplified approach, and we have to work this through together and discuss forth and back how we go about it. Oh, sorry about that. Just going to resize that. There we go. Just go to the next slide here. There we go. Right, that actually brings me straight to how I plan to go about DEMA show. Up here in the left, you will see a screenshot of the DEMA exhibitor listing. The first job is to reconcile and update our SuperOffice CRM system with data, contact info from DEMA's exhibitors list. There's a little bit tedium left here because it takes time just to go over it, and again, this is a task I would like us to share a little bit because it's tedious. Once we have the contacts into SuperOffice, this is sort of an operational detail. We just tag them with DEMA 2017. There's a checkbox under the interest tab in the menu bar on the top of the client card. I can show you a little bit later if you are not sure how to do that. Next, we go to the DEMA show floor plan, and in that system it's very neatly mapped out where some of these segments, they're actually lumped together. As you know, there's a Bahamas Isle, there's Australia, there's a Tahiti, Fiji, and the tech diving is all lumped together. So using this floor map to decide which primary and secondary segments we want to target leading up to the expo. And I say which we prioritize because we can't do them all, we shouldn't do them all. But in choosing them, we should think about the value of the segments, the possible return on the investment, because while there may be a segment that's less value than another, it may be easier for us to actually get some revenue out of it, so the return on investment may be bigger. So we go over, ask ourselves, do we want to do Bonaire, Bahamas, tech gear manufacturer, Indonesia, Red Sea, watchmaker, big brands, photo video, and so on. So I would like us again together, and that's what this little neat image in the middle signifies. Sit together and somehow, yes, I do realize that being separated by so many time zones, that is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I'm sure we're all smart people that we can figure that one out. So we agree on define a number of campaigns, angle, pictures, craft some email letters, forms, etc., and decide who is going to execute it. And most notable, to prevent we got leaks in our sales funnels, we need to make sure that every stage is executed faithfully and there is a catch up, a net under every stage, so we catch leakages. That we also need to address in a separate presentation, how we use SuperOffice. Again, we need to do it from the KISS principle. It needs to be a simple, straightforward, and concise to use for everyone concerned, because you all know one of my pet peeves is I like systems, they are mightily helpful, but they must never use up more time and energy just to manage than actually be of good use. That said, when we have decided on the segments at hand, we should top up the selected segments with non-DEMA targets too. For example, it's not all operators from Bahamas or Bonaire that are there, but if we are going to target these segments anyway, we should go out in different registry parties list, now it's list, whatever, to top up that contact list for every segment. All that info, we put that back into SuperOffice, from where we can launch the email campaigns and control the whole process. That's actually that little happy collection of happy faces up in the right corner is all about, because if we control every stage of the process, have it neatly defined, optimized to land more sales and convince more customers, and also make sure that we back each other up, making sure that we don't lose track of these process and we don't unnecessarily lose clients in the process. That was all for me today. I look forward to talk to you more about that. I will send you some email links about videos, books, and we're going to break all these processes down in its constituent stages and just dissect them, analyze them, optimize them one by one. In the end, we will have a fine-tuned sales apparatus, scripts that we can just follow in every conceivable case going forward. By having scripts in place, that makes sure that we can do them fast, efficiently, and we can go back and continually refine on our processes and products. That's all for me today. Thank you for listening.